Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are strapping in for what might be our most ambitious deep dive yet.
I think you might be right.
We are leaving the world of spreadsheets and case studies behind and heading straight for the ultimate question of origin.
That's right. We're tackling the question that has defined philosophy, religion, and science pretty much forever. Where did everything come from? But we aren't just looking at the answers, we're looking at the patterns in the answers.
Exactly. We are placing modern scientific cosmology, specifically the Big Bang theory, right next to two, well, incredibly profound texts.
One ancient, one more modern esoteric.
We have the Vedic hymn of creation, the Nasadiya Sukta from the Rig Veda, and then the sweeping cosmogony described in H.P. Blavatsky's masterwork, The Secret Doctrine.
And the source material we're drawing from today does this fantastic intellectual synthesis. It draws these direct, symbolic, and, analogical comparisons between these worldviews that seem so different on the surface.
Right, millennia apart.
Yeah, millennia. But the source treats them all as attempts by the human mind to capture the same, transcendent reality.
And our mission here is not to declare one view scientifically superior or metaphysically more valid. That's not the point.
No.
Our goal is to extract the surprising intellectual and metaphysical parallels that emerge when you hold these ideas side by side. We want to see what knowledge we can gain by connecting the dots.
Moving beyond just facts into genuine insight.
Right. Okay, so let's unpack this. Before we even touch on the specifics of cosmic creation, the source material gives us some crucial advice.
A kind of mental framework.
Yeah, a framework for how to approach these complex, abstract concepts. It warns us that this study is not about, data accumulation. It's about a fundamental shift in perception.
A transmutation of the mind.
Exactly, giving birth to what it calls transcendental intuition.
And that distinction is just. It's absolutely foundational, isn't it? It tells us that the whole point of learning is to build mental capacity, not to just act like an information hard drive.
I love the analogy it uses.
Oh, it's a powerful one. And maybe a bit provocative.
Yeah.
Is that you can meet people with dozens of degrees, all the titles, who are, and this is a quote, absolutely blind to the reality of life.
And then conversely, you meet people with maybe very little formal education who just possess this undeniable, penetrating wisdom.
Yeah.
The source says the difference isn't what is known, but how it's known.
Exactly. And the ancient Hindus actually formalized this with two terms, vidya and avidya.
Okay.
So vidya is the correct understanding of knowledge, the ability to grasp fundamental truths and, integrate them into a holistic worldview.
And avidya.
Avidya is what we loosely call ignorance, but it isn't just a lack of facts. It's the ignorance of someone who has all the data available but can't connect it. They can't truly see the implications.
They have the pieces, but not the puzzle.
That's a perfect way to put it. So reading a scientific paper or a complex Vedic verse is just step one.
Step two is opening this inner eye and developing a whole new perceptive capacity.
Sure. Precisely. And this is where it all connects back to the ultimate cosmic state we're about to discuss. If you connect this to the bigger picture, the source argues that when we face death, we forget the data.
The titles, the languages, the books.
All of it. What remains is our essence, our developed capacities, and crucially, our intuition.
So the purpose of learning is to activate our own dormant potential.
Because that's the only part of the experience that transcends the physical cycle.
Yeah.
It's the individual reflection of that cosmic one.
That reframes the whole exercise. It makes it a search for patterns both outside and inside ourselves.
Okay. With that grounding, let's shift to our first source, the Nasadiya Sukta, the Vedic hymn of creation.
From the Rig Veda. I mean, this text is described as possibly the oldest in any Indo-European language. It's a living monument.
And what's remarkable is it doesn't offer a creation myth with gods and giants.
Yeah.
It's a purely philosophical description of a state before the known universe.
It really is. It paints a picture of a non-dual reality where even our most basic definitions just collapse. The core description is so challenging. It says, no existed something, nor the nothing existed, no existed death, but nothing was immortal.
I mean, just unpack that one line.
If you try, it tells you that even the concept of an empty void had no existence.
That's the key philosophical hurdle.
Yeah.
It's a state beyond duality. Since there was no something, there was nothing to contrast nothing with. So existence and non-existence are just meaningless labels.
Nothing was.
Right. No forms, so no attributes, no high or low, hot or cold, light or dark. And yet, The text introduces this incredible symbol. It mentions the abyss of water.
Which is not H2O, obviously.
Absolutely not. It's powerful poetry. It's a symbol for inert life or an unmanifested possibility.
The raw potential.
Think of it as the formless substance, the pure potential, just waiting to be called into action to give origin to everything. It's the great repository.
And this repository contained the One.
Yes. The hymn talks about a single, unique, and undefined entity. It's described as breathing inanimated and by himself.
Meaning it didn't need to breathe from anything external.
Exactly, because there was no external. It was entirely self-contained. The state is often compared to a dreamless sleep profound, no memory, no relation to anything outside itself.
The ultimate cosmic rest. But for creation to start, that repose has to end. So what was the catalyst in the Vedic view? What makes the One move?
The emergence starts with a germ or a seed that sprouts out, and it's driven by fervid heat, the power of heat.
So heat is the first manifestation.
It's the first vital manifestation, the beginning of accelerated movement, which arises from the force of desire or will within that unmanifested entity. It's the spark of energy that breaks the cosmic repose.
And what really sets this hymn apart, what makes it so enduring, is how it ends. It doesn't give a neat final answer.
No, it just dissolves
into this ultimate irreducible mystery.
It does. The hymn admits that the gods and all known forms of intelligence came into being after this origin event, so they can't possibly know the source.
And that final line is so powerful.
The highest seer in the highest heavens knows it, or perhaps neither, nor even he knows it.
Wow. It's an admission of profound intellectual humility. Okay. We've set up the Vedic blueprint. Now let's look at the analogous ideas in Blavatsky's The Secret Doctrine, specifically stanza I.
Right. Our sources confirm that this first stanza develops ideas that are directly analogous, especially with the cyclical nature of existence. It describes a state called pralaya.
Which translates roughly as the cosmic night.
The cosmic night, or absolute repose, yeah. It's the period of dissolution that happens before the manvantara, which is the cosmic day, the period of manifestation.
So pralaya isn't just the beginning of existence, it's also the end of a previous cycle. It's an eternal recurring process.
Exactly. It's the ancient concept of the Great Breath, this cosmic cycle of expansion and contraction. The source material quotes stanza I, saying, "The eternal parent had slumbered once more for 7 eternities."
Those 7 eternities quantify that cosmic night.
It reinforces the cyclical nature of this repose, yes.
So describe the state of pralaya for us. What does the esoteric text say exists before that creative impulse?
It's a state anterior to all phenomena. There's no time, no perceived space, no differentiation. It's the absolute, where everything exists only as potentiality.
Pure potential.
And symbolically, it's represented as an ideal circle without a defined circumference, but which still contains an ideal central point. The lack of a circumference means infinite scope, and the point means unified, undifferentiated unity.
And this is the state of absolute darkness, but not darkness as we know it.
Correct. It's a darkness beyond our dualistic concept of light versus dark. It's darkness without attributes, but it's the reservoir and origin of everything. The term used is the eternal parent, which is, deliberately gender neutral.
Right, because it precedes that separation into polarity.
Which is necessary for creation to occur. The similarity to the Vedic deep sleep is really striking.
Especially with that imagery of time being absent.
It is. Another key line is, time did not exist, for it lay asleep in the infinite womb of duration. I mean, both texts, separated by thousands of years, use the language of deep, non-differentiated rest.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Now we bring in the Big Bang.
The modern scientific origin story.
And we compare it to these ancient cosmogonies. But we have to stress the caveat again.
A crucial caveat.
The source insists this comparison is symbolic and analogical, not literal. They operate on different planes of knowledge. One is measurable, one is metaphysical.
And that caveat is what allows this conversation to even happen. Science describes the evolution after the first event. Metaphysics tries to describe the state of the ultimate origin.
But the analogies are profound. Let's start with point 1, time and space.
Okay.
In the Big Bang model, time and space literally begin with the event. You can't physically measure a before because time and distance are metrics. They don't apply outside that event horizon.
And the ancient cosmogonies start from a state that is anterior to time and space. The before isn't temporal, it's ontological, a state of absolute being.
But the convergence is undeniable.
It is. Both systems agree that the fundamental structure of our reality, time and space, was initially non-existent. or at least inaccessible.
Let's move to point 2, the initial nothing. Physics tells us the Big Bang starts from a singularity, a limit state of infinite density and temperature. It's not an empty vacuum.
Right. It's a point where our physical laws just break down.
And in the cosmogonies, the nothing is also not an empty void. It's more like unmanifested fullness.
An absolute plenum. The darkness and the water, they symbolize this pure potentiality, not a total absence of everything.
So science stops at extreme matter and energy density.
And metaphysics steps beyond matter to pure potential. The underlying principle in both is a state of latent potential.
Okay, point 3, the generating principle. For the Big Bang, we have the theory of cosmic inflation, an initial, incredibly rapid expansion.
Where primordial energy transforms into the first particles and structures.
This maps so well to the Vedas' fervid heat.
The activating principle, exactly. The accelerated movement and initial energy surge. Science calls it symmetry breaking. Cosmology calls it the surging of desire. But the symbolic heat is the same as the primordial energy that drives expansion in the scientific view.
The first necessary shift from potential to kinetic.
Precise.
And the process itself follows a clear progressive order. With the Big Bang, you go from a homogeneous quark-gluon plasma to atoms, then stars, then galaxies. Simple to complex.
And the ancient cosmogonies describe creation as a process of progressive differentiation. From the one to the multiple, you have polarities, forms, cycles within cycles.
So the convergence is that creation is a gradual, ordered process.
A manifestation, not an instantaneous event. The universe is built from the ground up, not just snapped into existence fully formed.
Which brings us back, finally, to the ultimate mystery. And this might be the most profound point of convergence.
I think so. It's the boundary for both systems. Science reaches an acknowledged boundary. It can't answer what originated the singularity.
Or why the physical laws are what they are. It just hits a wall, a point zero.
And the Rig Veda concludes that perhaps nobody knows the origin, not even the highest gods. The mystery isn't seen as a problem to be solved, but as an intrinsic part of reality.
So, the deepest convergence is that both science and metaphysics admit that the ultimate first origin of the cosmos remains fundamentally unknown.
An irreducible mystery. And that shared intellectual humility just elevates the entire conversation.
So what does this all mean for us? The comparison shows that while the Big Bang isn't literally the same as the Vacuum, the analogy is incredibly valid.
Because the visions converge on essential structural points.
The non-ordinary origin, the initial lack of time and space, the emergence from this latent potential, and the acceptance of the final mystery.
It leads to a pretty powerful conclusion that the Big Bang could be seen as the modern scientific translation of an ancient metaphysical intuition.
Wow.
The ancients expressed these deep universal patterns in rich symbols because the language of advanced math wasn't available yet. But the patterns they saw, the cycle of rest and activity, the emergence from pure potential, the generating heat, they're structurally identical to what our most complex equations are describing.
It's a powerful reminder that there is a deep, persistent wisdom running through human history, whether it's in equations or in poetry.
And that reflection brings us full circle back to the individual and the learner's edge from the beginning.
Right.
We saw the ancient text emphasize that developing our intuition, our inner capacity, is what truly remains. And we've now seen that both science and metaphysics agree that the ultimate origin of everything is an unmanifested fullness, a pure potentiality. So building on this, if the cosmos itself, at its source, is nothing more than latent capacity waiting for an activating principle to manifest, what does that imply about the true nature of the enormous, undeveloped capacity that lies dormant within you?
You're a microcosm of the entire process we just explored.
Exactly. Something to think about.